Okay, so this next portrait is two other friends of mine. This one here is Elodie, and this one here is Vanina, and they're two French sisters who were staying here over the summer, and we got to meet each other, make friends, and I asked them to be in a portrait because they're beautiful, and that's what you do. So the reason for doing this mainly was because the last painting that I talked about, Cartagena, everybody's seen it and just loved it, and I've told them that it's going to be coloured, and they hate the idea. So because they want it to stay black and white because they think it looks so effective. But I'm not going to listen to them. I'm going to colour it because that was the whole purpose of it. And so this painting here is staying black and white. So I've got both examples in my portfolio to show people. Okay. So this one is finished. Okay. Now onto the actual painting. Well, I had many ideas of how to paint these two. Originally I was just going to paint one of them, but then I thought, well, it'd be quite an interesting idea to get the interaction between two sisters in a painting. So I took many photos of them in different places doing different things, and they're all they look like family portrait photos. They weren't paintings, they were just nice pictures of a person. And then just one of the photos that I took, it was blurry so I couldn't use it, but Elodie was putting a necklace around Vanina's neck, and it just looked more effective than all the others that I'd taken. So I bothered them a little bit more and we took more photos in this pose, tried to recreate it, and just took many, and this was the best photo that I found. Now, in terms of cropping it to get the right composition, it was quite difficult to find a way to work it, but it's the same concept as my previous painting. There is a thought bubble, you see, behind each of these. You can see here for Elodie, and Vanina's got a big space because she's very intelligent, okay, behind here. And also it's the same idea of the the Renaissance lines, I call them. I think it's armature of the rectangle that it's actually referred to as, but I call it Renaissance lines. And so when you divide the painting up, there is a rhythm to the composition here. For instance, when you look at Elodie, the hairs on her head will guide your eye down, and then your eye will follow her arm. Again, it curves around across Vanina and back around down her elbow, and then round, and your eye moves around the picture rather than just reading it like a book from left to right and then it's finished. There's like this circular motion to the composition to keep you interested in the painting and looking at everything there. Okay. And the actual painting process, this was quite difficult because there's an awful lot of textures. There was in the previous one too, but there's you've got skin, hair, jewellery, and the clothes are all made out of different materials, like this black thing that Elodie is wearing, and the dress, and then Vanina's in like cotton sort of clothes. So it's all very different textures to try and paint, and it's all down to observation of the photograph that these work so well, I think. And also just doing it slowly. This has taken a long time, like laughably long. Okay, and it's just observation of the photograph. For instance, the skin. All the skin here is blended slightly, so I'll paint it quickly, just with a reasonably big brush, like anybody would paint any portrait. But once you finish that, then you soften all the edges into each other, you blend them so that when you look at it you can't see a brush mark. Okay, and this is what happens with skin. If you look at your skin, it's not like looking at a block of wood where there's like a sharp edge around the side where you view it. You can almost to an extent see through the last millimetre of your skin. Okay, so for instance, if you think about putting a light behind, you put your hand up to a light and you can see it shining through your hand. There is a degree of it being translucent, and this makes it soften when you paint it. So when you soften it, it begins to look real. But When you then put something like jewellery against it that isn't like that, it's a different density, all the sharp lines that you get from the jewellery contrast with this, and then you can tell the textures against each other and it begins to look real. And so when you've got everything like hair and clothes and like the chair and things like that against each other, then you can really begin to see like a photographic element come out of the painting and really make it quite effective. I personally don't like my paintings to be like photographs. Like a lot of this, particularly Elodie's hair here, I've left elements of a painterly effect in there because I don't want them to be hyper realistic, otherwise I could just use the photograph. But no, this is reasonably simple portrait apart from the composition. I hope I've got the interaction between two sisters, you know, because there is obviously a bigger connection there than just two people that have met in the street, and to try and capture that in a painting is rather difficult, but I think it worked quite well. This one is finished. I've got to varnish it because my linseed is a little bit uneven in this top corner. This is actually supposed to all be black. You can't quite see on the camera, but you know, it's uneven. But anyway, that will finish when it's varnished. So all done. On to the next painting. Cheers. Thanks very much.